Hello, this is Teresa LaFleur. I wanted to go over some of the information in Chapter 7 with you and see if this will help, because I had a lot of questions on this chapter. So first, let's talk about some record storage. Make sure that you understand what is in each phase of the life cycle: creation, distribution, use, maintenance, and disposition. And the last two are the ones that are described in this, but you still need to know the life cycle for every chapter basically, because we are covering that information. Most places will use a records retention program, and they will have a list of when items need to be destroyed, because you cannot keep it indefinitely if you're working with paper. Let's go to the next area here. Okay, this talks about records and which ones you really need to keep. So your non-essentials are bulk mails and messages and announcements and emails and that type of stuff. You really don't need to keep those unless there is something within that email that's very important. Some of your useful records, and you do keep these in the short term, but not for a long term, because they're not that important. They can be replaced also. Your important records, you do need to keep these for a long term. It They would have to be recreated if need be, but it can be done. And your vital records are ones that you will keep forever. And basically, they are super important, and you need to keep them in a place where they are protected. You'll notice they're using a lot more technology in trying to track records. And one your book talks about is the RFID, and it's just basically using a scanner, and that you can do this electronically and have it read what's in the boxes and which boxes are there, that type of information. Okay, this is an example of a records retention schedule. And in looking at it, you can see for account payable invoices, you want to keep 3 active years and 3 inactive years for a total of 6. Your accounts payable ledger would be the same thing. I'm not sure why they have this 6 here. I think that's just an error. Um, but this tells you, basically you're going to look in this last column to see how long you need to keep something. Letters, email messages were a total of 2. So after you've coded your piece of letter or whatever form information you have, excuse me, you need to take a look at the date of it. Okay, if it is a letter from um, 2017, and let's say it's just a straight letter. If it's a letter from 2017 and the actual date on it is January 1st of 2017, then for letters you need to keep 2 years. So your destruction date would be January 1st, 2019. If you're looking at an audit report, no, that's not a good one. That's permanent. Bank reconciliation statement. So let's say that you have a statement from May 1st of 2015. Yeah, let's do one for May of 2015. You'll notice you need to keep it 6 years, so that would be May 1st of 2021. You're going to add 6 years onto the 2015. So that's the way you do these. You will look at the date of the item that you have, and then you will need to know that how long, determine which part it belongs to. Is it a payable invoice? Is it a contract? Is it something from HR? Is it an application? So you need to know what type of paper it is, what type of correspondence you have. You need to know the date of that correspondence, and then you can look on here and find out how long you need to keep it. It will tell you in the final column. And that's how, when you're doing this on your assignment, how you would enter the date. You need to put the full date in there. So it would be January 1st of 2021 or whatever. But you need the full date in there, because that is the actual destruction date. When you are requested to retrieve a record, this is the steps you need to go through. You receive that request, you check for it, find it, retrieve the record, and remove it from storage. You definitely need to put a charge out in there so that you know it's out. Send it over, and you need to do some follow-up in your tickler file or whatever is necessary to make sure that you follow up on that borrowed record and it gets back to where it should be. Okay, this is a charge out log that you use for like your tickler file or something. If you have some records that are out, I'm sorry it's sideways, but that's the way it is in this book, and I can't get it to change. So you'll put the name of the person who requested the record, the date of that record, um, uh, the actual person borrowing, and their extension or email address, the date it's borrowed, the due date, and the date returned. And if they're do not return it, then you need to put a date when you send an overdue notice and give them an extended time to turn it in. But this is a way of keeping up with those charge out records and making sure that they will get back to where they should be and that it doesn't end up being a lost record. All right, that's the end of this chapter. So I hope that helped to answer some of your questions on that charge out. So remember, look at the date and then look at the type of correspondence it is. Find out what the final disposition date is or destroy date. 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, whatever it may be. Use the date that's on the record to calculate what your date is, and it needs to be a full month, day, year date. If you have any questions, give me a call.